Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted. There seems to be mixed feelings for the Madagascar films, but personally, I enjoy them. I find that not only they're very funny, but also they have heart, showing the value of friendship and knowing where you belong. But I will admit that the second one does have its flaws by taking some elements from The Lion King. But now that Alex, Marty, Gloria, and Melman are back on the ring, will they give us an unforgettable show? Or will it be time to clean up their act? Let's find out. The story. It seems that the crew didn't focus on the story as much as before. The first act is just one big chase scene after another, and it has little to do with the rest of the movie. They don't even give us time to explain how the gang went from Africa to Monte Carlo. It literally starts out as a few minutes of them in Africa, then immediately cuts to them hiding in the waters of Monte Carlo to get the penguins. Last I checked, that's a pretty big distance. Anyways, when it moves on to them hiding in the circus, that's when it starts to pick up. That's when we start to meet the new characters and where there's an actual plot instead of, oh, we have to go back to New York. And as it goes on, we get into more interesting situations. But even when it would get good, some plot points would appear like out of the blue, like the mood of the film would switch in a split second. As for the jokes, I say they're more hit and miss, which is disappointing for me because their humor is what I love the most about the franchise. It's hard to explain what else to say about the story because it's really character driven, and there are some parts that should be better explained in the characters category. It may start out a little too fast, but after that, the story goes out pretty smooth from there. The animation. Although I'm not a big fan of Madagascar's animation, I do get what they're going with. They're trying to be more cartoony, and it works with the character animation and the many different designs of the animals, but it's just when we see the humans, it doesn't work out for me. It's just what they're doing with the animation doesn't fit with how regular people are like. It really shows that this is the kind of animation made more for cartoony animals. Now I know they're just extras and this might be nitpicking, but keep in mind they're everywhere and they look even more cartoony than in the previous films. But since we do focus more on the animals in here, the problem is not that big. Anyways, in terms of the background animation, I don't feel like they captured the true spirit of Monte Carlo. The way they designed it is like another big city, but with mountains behind it. Again, I'm disappointed with that because I've been to Monte Carlo, and it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. But like the story, when we enter the circus plot, that's when the good stuff kicks in. When you watch this, the most memorable scene of this movie has to be when they all go out and perform. It gets very colorful, engaging, the characters perform all these amazing stunts, and so much more. I mean, you'll end up applauding when it's done. If there is one thing that bugs me is that the movie would always try to make a 3D moment, like having a character come too close to your face. I guess those scenes would be cool if you saw it in 3D, but I watched this film in 2D, so it just gets annoying. But other than that, the animation is still pretty nice, but when it has its moments, it has its moments. The characters. Now here's where things get a little mixed. Unlike the past films, we don't get much character development from Alex, Marty, Gloria, or Melman. Maybe a bit from Alex because he's the main character and we focus on him a lot, but other than that, that's it. As for the other recurring characters, I feel like some have been downplayed, like Maurice and Mort are barely in the film at all, or the penguins and the monkeys are in the movie just to be their funny selves. And then there's King Julien. At the beginning, I didn't find him funny, but rather annoying at times. But when he meets the love of his life, a bike-riding bear, that's when he gets funny and I would be happy to see him on screen like before. As for the new characters, it's a good thing that we got the circus animals. The ones we see the most are Stefano, who's like the open-minded, over-eccentric guy of the group. There's Gia, who's like the love interest-ish of the movie. And then there's Vitali, who is possibly the best character of the movie. He starts out as this hard-headed tough guy, but then we get to learn of his backstory and how it affected the circus group, and it turns out he's not all that bad. Because of this, it helped us to sympathize Vitali and hope that he and the circus end up being successful like their good old days. But then we have Cruella de Vil. Cruella de Vil. Captain Dubois de Vil. Yeah, like how Makunga in the second movie is a lot like Scar, Dubois reminds me too much of Cruella de Vil. Except she doesn't have much of a purpose. All she wants is just Alex's head for her collection. Also, she doesn't even add into the plot. She does nothing to the circus group, so what's the point of having her? The return of the characters we know is more bittersweet, but at least there are some new ones that came in and helped save the movie. Madagascar 3 is definitely not the best film of the franchise, but I'm not gonna say that it's bad. Sure, the old characters don't offer much, the villain is pointless, and they started the action way too early, but thanks to the new supporting characters, they helped out on making the movie pretty satisfying to watch. If you're a fan of the Madagascar movies, I'd say you can give it a watch. If not, then you can wait till you can rent it. Also, if you're going to watch it, don't do the same mistake that I did and go see it in 3D. Like I mentioned earlier, it's better off if their heads pop out of the screen with some depth rather than seeing their faces getting uncomfortably close to the camera.